Kia ora, I'm Erin J. Doyle. Welcome to my channel. My voice is being a bit weird right now. I don't know why, but I can hear it being weird. Also, my tea is too strong. Like, way too strong. What am I meant to be talking about? Yes, okay. So today is day 8 of Camp NaNo. My goal was to spend an hour every day working on edits on my Camino story, and so far I've done 6 hours. So I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I knew that I would be because I was going away for the Easter weekend, so I'm actually only a little bit behind and I've managed to do quite a big catch up, so I'm optimistically perhaps thinking I should be okay to reach my 30 hours goal. The first thing that I wanted to achieve with my editing was to identify every chapter in my story where locations aren't given. Because my character is moving constantly, location names seem like an important kind of signpost that she's traveling. So it took me like an hour, easily a solid hour, to identify each chapter where that information wasn't given, and then to make a decision within the context of the chapter and the information from the previous chapter if it was required. So if we know where she finished one day, I don't feel like I need to state where she begins the next day because it should be the same location. So that was actually quite a bit of effort. I ended up identifying 10 chapters where I had not provided any location information whatsoever, and an additional 12 chapters, some of my chapters are very short, where I had said where she began the day or where she finished, but not both, and I had to read through and decide whether that was okay or whether I needed to add something in those. So I did that, and then I added that information, but because I didn't want to just start each chapter like that morning in whatever town, there was some rewriting that was necessary to kind of slot that information in. So that turned out to be a much more time consuming, bigger job than I actually expected it to be. So I'm kind of behind where I wanted to be in terms of my to-do list for editing. And now I only have the hard stuff left. Unfortunately, all of the remaining things I want to tick off this list are kind of big. What I have here is a list of things which I feel like I need to add. Some of these are very simple things, just like, you know, one line of dialogue kind of things, but they should add up to sort of a more significant character development than is currently in the story. So I think they're really, oh my god, what is wrong with my voice? So I think these will be really important changes to make, and the trick is going to be figuring out where to put them in. So what I have also done is gone through and identified which chapters are short and kind of, you know, they might be entertaining but maybe nothing kind of plot or character relevant really happens. And I'm going to try where I can to add sort of the important character stuff that's currently missing into those chapters, so yeah, they have a bit more going on with them than just, hey, look at this neat thing, which some of them are definitely doing. So I have a list of stuff to add, a list of potential places to edit, but I have no idea where to marry those two lists together, if that makes any sense. So this is probably going to be a very time consuming and challenging thing to try and put in. So I guess I should get on with it. It is now Friday. I've done the work thing, I've done the come home and dinner thing. Now I can get back to the editing thing. I have now caught up with the editing time that I wanted to put in for Camp NaNo and have completed 9 hours of editing in 9 days, so hooray! I also managed to get my story back under 90,000 words, which was something that was starting to worry me, because with trying to slot in the little bits of dialogue that I've been trying to slide in, the word count has been creeping up. So I managed to tighten up the second and third chapters, which were incredibly, they are still incredibly long. I think they're about almost 3 times longer than the average chapter within the story, so crazily long. So I've been tightening those up a little bit. Of course, I've been finding other things that I need to fix along the way. Never-ending process. I've also had a bit of a thought around how I keep track of what's happening in my story. So something I've been doing is keeping a spreadsheet where I track the main event and any secondary events which happen in each chapter, anything we learn about the main character, anything we learn about the setting, and the word count. What I have now started to do is to add an additional layer of colour coding. So when an event happens in the story, instead of just having a white cell in the spreadsheet saying something has happened, I'm colouring in that cell depending on what kind of arc or plot related thing is happening. So there are a couple of things which happen which are kind of like little arcs all on their own. So like one is blue, one is orange, one is yellow. I think I have a green. Oh yes, green is for when it's a combination. So this way, just as a glance, I don't have to sit there and read all my notes. I can just see, you know, if it's green, I'm like, cool, lots of different things relating to lots of different issues are happening in this one chapter. And then if it's blue, I'm like, oh, okay, that's relating to this event. If it's yellow, okay, it'll be that. So I can kind of see kind of the emotional intensity of a chapter just by glancing at the colours on my spreadsheet. This could well be excessive, pointless planning, but as the lab technician where I did my research for my masters used to say, no planning is ever wasted. That's not what she said. What did she say? Oh, no time spent organising is ever wasted. That's the quote. Okay, so what I've done here is make a copy of the spreadsheet that I'm using to track everything, and then I've deleted all of the informative content except for my colour coding and my word counts, so you can see basically what I've done but without the spoilers. For this project I have created a column for locations because the location that certain events happen in is quite important. Obviously you can't have a chapter about the time you go to a castle if she's not at the location where there's a castle, so I've got that listed. And then as I've gone into editing, I've created a fixes needed column so that if I couldn't fix something very, very quickly, I would just make a note of it so I could come back to it. So I had a column specifically for that. And then I was highlighting it in this neutral yellow colour from the styles options, so that I knew something needed to be done but it wasn't super bad. Obviously if something was quite bad, like down here, it was in pink, or the red-ish colour for the styles. Then over here I have main event and secondary event, things we learn about Sun, who's our main character, and then information about the Camino, various tips we're building, that kind of thing. Then these ones here, which I've used accent number 4 to highlight, these are all where the contents of this column for that chapter are relevant to the specific arc that I've allocated to that colour, and the same with accent 2 over here. And then down the bottom here I've got accent 1 in blue. I have made a note obviously of what these all mean, so you can kind of see something's happening and then it kind of doesn't get mentioned again for quite a big chunk of time, and then it comes up again towards the end. So just at a glance I kind of think to myself, well, maybe something that is relevant to this part of the story needs to be somewhere in the middle here, rather than being super important in the first scene, the first chapter, and then not mentioned again till the end. Obviously see here, there's this sudden appearance of a whole bunch of blue. That's obviously something major happening towards the end of the story. So what I've done here is put a big thick black line. This line is basically me showing myself where basically a certain thing has to happen before this line. And that thing has to happen in little increments, so I've got to put all the references to that event in prior to that line, so that everything that happens below the line has sort of happened at the right point in time for pacing. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. That's going to be it for this video, because I have to get to editing it and uploading it, because it's going to go live in about 2 hours. Let me know in the comments down below if you're doing Nano, and if you are, how it's going, and if you're not, also how it's going, because you're important too, even if you're not writing stuff. If you've enjoyed this video, leave it a like. If you're new around here, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button and ringing the bell. These things really help me out, and it means that I get to see you next week. Bye!